The heart of any synthesizer is the sound source. In an analog synthesizer, it is an oscillator that produces the sound, whereas in others, it may be some form of sample. In Sakura, the sound source is a physically modeled string. It's actually quite a simple affair, having only one slider and one control knob available to it. Collectively, this is the exciter. As you can see from the display, at one end of the slider, it is labeled click, and at the bottom, it is labeled noise. To simplify, the explanation is to best think of it this way. As you move the slider towards click, the sound becomes more percussive, so think mainly of plucking a string, or another type of fast attack style sound. Conversely, as you move the slider towards noise, the sound becomes less percussive, so start thinking in terms of bowed sound. While this is an oversimplification, it does get across the idea. Getting the balance right between these two is essential to giving the character of the sound. The other control included in the exciter is the noise rate control. Altering this control changes the amount of high-frequency content in the noise that is part of the sound. When you start a new patch though, the difference between the sounds at each end of the slider is not immediately apparent. It's when the filters are set up that makes a larger difference on the sound. This is not true, however, once the filters are set up. If we load up the patch Asian keys and now do an A-B comparison of the sound when the slider is moved between click and noise, you can hear that the difference is much more pronounced. So, exactly what difference does the filter make on the resulting sound? Well, of the two filters, the low-cut filter is the simpler of the two, as you can see from the fact that it has much less controls than that of the high-cut filter. The two controls of the filter are cutoff and resonance. For those of you that are new to synthesis, a low-cut filter removes frequencies from the sound that are lower than the cutoff point. This results in a much thinner sound as you increase the cutoff control. Eventually, all sound is cut off when the cutoff point has reached its maximum value. The resonance control essentially boosts the frequencies around the cutoff point. In other synthesizers, this is also known as the emphasis control. It adds an emphasis to the cutoff frequency. Another function of the low-cut filter is to remove sounds from the lower area of the frequency spectrum, and this can help sounds fit better in mixes, since the low-frequency part of the project can quickly fill up. Again, it's perhaps better to see this in practice. This time we'll load the bass 5 patch. Now have a listen to how the bass sound changes as the cutoff is reduced. As you can hear, the sound has more weight as the cutoff goes down. As it goes back up, the sound becomes thinner. When it comes to resonance, you can hear the difference this makes when I move the resonance control to around the 9 o'clock position. As I sweep the frequencies with the cutoff, this time you can hear a big difference to the resulting sound, with what might initially seem to be a minor control change. Ironically, you would think that using a low cutoff filter would be used for making sounds less bassy, and while in many cases this is true, it is also used to strengthen bass sounds. If you use a higher resonance setting, you can then use this to emphasize certain bass frequencies, leaving a bass sound that still cuts through the mix without generating too much ultra-low frequency content.